Have you ever met someone who asks way too many questions? Like, to the point where it's a little annoying? Well, meet Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher who basically made a career out of it. Living in Athens over 2,400 years ago, Socrates was a bit of an oddball. He wasn't rich, he wasn't handsome by ancient standards, and he walked around barefoot, just talking to people. But here's the crazy part. He's one of the most influential thinkers in all of history. And he never wrote a single word down. Everything we know about him comes from his students, like Plato. So what did Socrates actually do all day? He wandered through the marketplace, the agora, and started conversations. But these weren't just about the weather. He would ask people big questions like, what is justice? What is courage? What does it mean to live a good life? He developed a special technique we now call the Socratic method. He'd pretend he knew nothing and just keep asking questions, until the person he was talking to realized they didn't really know what they were talking about. His goal wasn't to make people feel dumb, but to help them think for themselves and examine their own beliefs. He famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Now, who was a fan of this guy? Mostly the youth of Athens. Young, curious minds like Plato and Xenophon were captivated by his intellect and his challenge to authority. They saw him as a master of thought who was genuinely trying to find truth and virtue. They would follow him around, hanging on his every word, learning how to dissect arguments and question everything. To them, Socrates wasn't just a teacher. He was an inspiration, a guide to living a more meaningful and ethical life. They admired his integrity, his simple lifestyle, and his unwavering commitment to his principles. But you can probably guess, not everyone was in the Socrates fan club. In fact, a lot of powerful people in Athens couldn't stand him. Imagine you're a respected politician, a famous general, or a celebrated poet, and this barefoot guy comes up and, through a series of simple questions, makes you look like you have no idea what you're talking about in front of a crowd. It was embarrassing. These influential figures felt Socrates was undermining their authority and corrupting the youth by teaching them to question tradition and the state. They saw him as a dangerous troublemaker who was stirring up dissent and disrespect for the gods and the laws of Athens. So, how did this one man, who never wrote a book or led an army, change the world? Immensely. Socrates shifted the focus of philosophy from the stars and the universe to ourselves, to ethics, morality, and how we should live. He laid the foundation for all of Western philosophy. His ideas, carried on through Plato and then Aristotle, have shaped everything from our legal systems and our scientific method to how we think about right and wrong. He championed the idea of critical thinking and self-examination as the path to wisdom. Eventually, those powerful people who disliked him had him arrested on charges of impiety and corrupting the youth. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. But even in his final moments, Socrates stayed true to his principles, calmly accepting his fate and discussing the nature of the soul. He became a martyr for free thought and intellectual integrity. His legacy is a powerful reminder that it's not always the loudest voice that makes the biggest impact, but the one that asks the most important questions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into philosophy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories about the great thinkers who shaped our world. See you next time.